I hadn't seen Lana in nearly 2 years when she messaged me out of the blue. "Hey, feel like catching up over wine? I've got something to ask you." She always had a flair for dramatics. It was part of why we were such good friends in college. Lana was the kind of person who turned every dinner into a story, every pause into tension. I miss that. I agreed without thinking. When I pulled up to her home, just outside Ashcroft Hills, I barely recognized it. The last time I'd visited, she and Milo, her husband, had just moved in. Now it looked like something out of a design magazine. Soft lights glowing through the big bay windows, a warm porch light flickering through the evening mist. I suddenly felt underdressed. She greeted me at the door in a flowing ivory sweater and jeans, barefoot, her hair loose and glowing like gold in the hallway light. "You look exactly the same," she said, pulling me into a hug that felt longer than necessary. Inside, everything smelled like cinnamon and citrus. Milo was in the kitchen pouring wine, sleeves rolled up, like he'd just stepped out of some kind of lifestyle ad. I'd forgotten how handsome he was. Quietly charismatic, the kind of guy who didn't need to say much to hold a room. "Long time," he said, offering me a glass. "Too long," I said, forcing a smile. Lana led us to the living room. Candles flickered along the mantel. The wine loosened my shoulders a bit. We talked about everything and nothing. Old memories, failed dates, missed opportunities. Lana laughed easily. Milo listened quietly. I couldn't tell if something was different, or if I was just imagining it. And then, without warning, Lana leaned forward and said, "We have something we want to ask you." I blinked. "Okay." "It's going to sound strange," she added, her voice calm but deliberate. "But we want you to hear us out before you say anything." Milo's gaze met mine, still calm, still unreadable. I felt the atmosphere shift, the kind of shift you feel before a storm, before something cracks open. Lana looked at me like she was testing the weight of her next words. "We've been talking," she said, her fingers wrapping tighter around her wine glass. "And we both agree that something's been missing. Not in a bad way, just not complete." "Right," I said slowly. "And we thought maybe you'd be open to helping us explore." I stared. "Explore what?" "Us," Milo said simply. "You and us." Silence followed. I thought I misheard. I thought it was a joke. But they weren't smiling. They weren't blushing or flustered. They looked steady, serious. Lana's voice softened. "We trust you. And I think you trust us too." I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. My heart thundered in my chest. Was I flattered? Shocked? Curious? "You don't have to answer tonight," Milo added. "We're not asking for anything more than your honesty." I stood and walked to the window, needing air, needing distance. My reflection blinked back at me in the glass. I didn't recognize the expression on my face. Something about the way Lana had looked at me, and how Milo hadn't looked away. A memory flashed. One summer, years ago, the three of us tangled in laughter and cheap wine on Lana's old couch. I remembered how close we'd sat, how her hand had lingered on my thigh, how Milo had looked at me when she wasn't watching. I had dismissed it then, buried it. But maybe they hadn't. I turned around. "Why me?" Lana stood. "Because we know you. Because you're the only one this would feel right with." I didn't sleep that night. I stared at the ceiling of my apartment, heart pounding. Questions, doubts, but also a strange heat in my chest, one I hadn't felt in years. They didn't contact me the next day, or the day after. On the third day, I messaged her. "Still open to that talk?" The second time I came over, the air was different. Heavier, charged. No wine this time. Just Lana, standing in the doorway, wearing a quiet smile and steady eyes. "You came," she said. "I didn't know I would until I did." Milo appeared behind her. "Hi." I nodded. No music, no speeches, no candles. Just the three of us, in a room thick with things unspoken. Lana took my hand and pulled me gently inside. Whatever happened after wasn't wild. It wasn't impulsive. It was deliberate, careful, intimate. And afterward, as I sat between them on the living room floor, our shoulders brushing, the world felt softer. Nothing would be the same after. And somehow, that didn't scare me. It thrilled me.